Hello everyone, once again, this is Commander Trium, bringing you another video flight log from the Elite Universe. This is the second of two expected login sessions today. I don't know how many of you watching will have been around Elite or paying attention to the game lore about a year ago this time. We were in the midst of a large hunt for what was then known as a rogue emperor named Salome. I'm just going to open this session with a short discussion with some friends about Salome and some of the things that were going on at about a year ago this time.
Disconnected.
That is, if anyone's going to respond to me today. It doesn't seem like that's very likely.
Caller disconnected.
Well, let's have a look ourselves then at the galaxy map. And for this, we'll go to the allegiance view. Now, according to my information, the Sol system is the branch-off point for 3 quadrants in the galaxy. So here is our star system, Sol. And this means that what we have over yonder, out here this way, is a region of space known as the Formidine Rift. It's where these stars here start to peter out, and you're ending up with a kind of a rift zone over here, I think is what's meant by it. Or perhaps it could be over here. Let's see. It's between Sagittarius and Perseus arms. Yeah, so it's in here. Now, about a year ago, there was an imperial senator by the name of Salome who took it upon herself to sort of blow the whistle on a number of power brokers in the Milky Way galaxy, humans, of course, exclusively. But their purpose was to identify where all these generation ships were sent out into this region out here sometime in the past. And what it appears, if we look over here, we have a possible entry site for beings from this galaxy, although they could just as easily have come in over here. But the question is, where do the Thargoids come from? And the Formidine Rift Conspiracy, as it was called, and you can search that term online, links to Salome and her pronouncements and outing of the Alliance, the Federation, and of course the Empire, and a number of human corporations that are non-specifically aligned with any of the major powers from humankind in the galaxy. Basically, at some point in the 22nd century, it's said that a number of ships were sent out over yonder, and they dropped off a series of beacons and buoys and whatnot, and were told originally that they were going to be setting up colonies, but in fact what ended up happening in virtually all the cases that have been found, including an old lady by the name of Rebecca, who actually made her way back from the Formidine Rift into the bubble to report her findings of ships that were lost, that were infected with pathogens that could not be cured, or what have you, and then were just basically left to die out here. In another case, the key case that Rebecca cites, I can't remember the name of the ship. I think it's the Flaza or something. I can't remember the name. But she talks about this as being the sort of smoking gun. On this particular ship, it was a highly infectious, well, a highly toxic substance was given to a number of the engineering crew who went about on a, well, when they were as the ship was turning around and going to make its way back to the bubble, they basically engaged and staged a mutiny, and in the attempt managed to destroy the craft's energy sources, and it basically resulted in the entire complement and crew of said mega ship, the generation ship, dying of exposure to void space. And she's basically listed off coordinates. It's out here somewhere. At any rate, if you look at these two other galaxies in the background, they could have been trying to set up an early warning system to tell them when the Thargoid threat was going to remanifest. Or perhaps there's another threat they're aware of from what looks like it might be more in the general direction of the Andromeda galaxy. Now, Andromeda, which is just centering it on the screen here. It's in the reticle, right there. This particular galaxy and this other one down here, the Triangulum, they're the two closest galaxies to the Milky Way, and no doubt are home to sentient species that may be spacefaring, likely are spacefaring. And I guess the concern was that there could be some sort of common galactic threat that they would want to have an early warning system against. So they sacrificed hundreds of thousands of lives, lied to people, and dropped a bunch of satellites and other ordnance out here in order to basically let the humans know when a threat from outside the galaxy was on its way in. Trouble is, I don't know if the Thargoids come from Andromeda or Triangulum, but they're very, very distant. Triangulum itself is over 3 million light years away. Andromeda is 1 point some number. I think it's 1.5 maybe million light years away. It's still quite a ways off, and it is still several billion years before it's expected to, well, a couple billion years before it's expected to actually begin to intersect with ours. As I said, it is on a collision course, but when it gets here, 2 billion years from now, the sun will still be burning brightly, Earth will still be intact, and over that time, people that live on Earth and in the bubble generally will notice the Andromeda galaxy getting larger and larger and larger. In my lifetime, it's already grown larger. But technically I'm not part of the 30th century, but the 35th century. I'm still thinking, however, that the biggest threat is the Large Magellanic Cloud, centered now on the reticle, where I have the reticle positioned. Large Magellanic Cloud is just a satellite galaxy of the Milky Way. As you can see, its irregular shape means it probably has no black hole at its center. It's probably just a collection of billions and billions of stars. Or perhaps it's the small Magellanic Cloud, now reticled center. This galaxy, also irregular in shape, no black hole, organizing it into something a little bit more stable looking. Certainly nothing resembling the nice spiral formation we find the Milky Way in, which is intermediate-sized spiral-class galaxy. Home to 400 billion plus star systems. And God only knows how many sentient species they're in, although you would have thought that there would be more than just the 3 that we know about so far. There could be technologically less advanced societies on some of the worlds, although I haven't heard of any being discovered in the bubble or anywhere close to Earth, but they're out there, I'm pretty sure, and at some point they'll be written into our game. At any rate, regardless, sentient life does exist elsewhere within our galaxy and certainly beyond. Everyone knows this. The Formidine Rift conspiracy was an effort to try to create an early warning system of some sort to, I believe, to identify the nature of the threat and to help combat it. Using the nearest points on the galactic map to Andromeda and Triangulum, which just happen to be in the same direction. Do the Thargoids come from Andromeda or Triangulum? Unknown. You'll also note down here that there are several other background points of light. These two, like the one reticled center here, also represent a galaxy, but much further away than 3 million light years, and or much smaller. Notice there's another galaxy on the just the far side of Andromeda as well. Or what looks like a star on the other side of Andromeda. That is in fact either a galaxy or a really bright energy source, perhaps a quasar or something, although I don't know any. At any rate, could be one of the satellite galaxies orbiting Andromeda, but whichever the case, there was concern about this for some reason amongst the powers that be. And I'm really curious about it. It was, again, a year ago, as of this month, as of perhaps this very week. Actually, I think it was on April 30th, that 2017, when we got our news about Salome, or 3303. This is 3304, so we are, in fact, a year further into the story, and there has been nothing further on any of the aforementioned conspiracy projections that were bandied about or being discussed. Import price. And TAC is our export vehicle. So we are at the Mukoji system. We have to export titanium back out. Okay. just 3 minutes ago. Okay, so now, what do we got for cargo here? Just the limpets.
Caller disconnected.
No.
Hello?
How are you, dude?
Pretty good. So you got a mic there, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Did you, you'd messaged me about 3 minutes ago. I was exploring the galaxy map, trying to piece together some more of the Salome Formidine Rift conspiracy subplot that was going on about this time last year. I don't know if you were part of the lead at that time, but Salome was that Imperial senator that was out saying all sorts of unkind things about people. And sorry about the voice comms, but I use a VR helmet, so I don't really like using a keyboard unless it's absolutely necessary. When you're wearing a VR helmet, you can't really see anything in front of you. So I have to find my keyboard. It's like it's got feet and it runs away. Your mic might have given out. I'm not hearing your voice anymore. Or perhaps you're using Discourse or whatever the Discord. Stand by. No. Nope.
Cargo hold at maximum capacity.
Course laid in and launching.
Landing gear retracted.
Moderate speed on exit.
Frame shift charge detected.
Be on the lookout for heavy traffic. Steer clear of other vessels. Scan detected. Frame shift drive charging. Prepping fighter bay. Stand by.
Scan detected.
All systems are go. Awaiting orders.
Target shields offline. Target destroyed.
I'm under heavy fire, Commander.
Under attack. Target shields offline.
Target is down. Scanning for more threats.
Target shields offline.
Threat eliminated.
Cargo scope deployed.
Commencing recovery, Commander. Stand by. is on board, Commander.
Okay, so we'll resume our course for Lutchenko Vision.
Cargo scope retracted. Frameshift drive charging. Assist off.
Permission granted. Please make your way to landing pad 10.
Flight assist on. Scan detected. Flight assist off. Flight assist on.
Use of automated docking computer permitted. You are clear to hand over control. touchdown. We trust this facility will serve you well, Commander.
This facility operates under Imperial jurisdiction. Our representatives are available to ensure that every need is dealt with promptly and to your complete satisfaction.
Cargo hold at maximum capacity.
Docking pads are assigned for the benefit of visitors to this facility. We politely request that pilots do not obstruct access to other guests inside the docking bay. Visitors are welcome only to this facility and to Imperial sovereign territory, where excellence is the standard.
Ship released. You may proceed when ready.
Frame shift charge detected.
You are now clear of the station. Thank you, Commander. Have a splendid journey.
Fighters going live, Commander. I'm in control of the mothership. Okay, taking up a defensive position, Commander. Roger, I'll take point, Commander.
Fighter assembly initiated.
Well, that's interesting. At least we know what happens when you fly your ship. Into the starport.
Frameshift drive charging.
Kai Suraze. Interesting. Go to the galaxy map just for a second. I want to have a look at services in the vicinity. There don't seem to be any. Interstellar factors. The nearest one to our destination, which is in the Mukoji system, appears to be the Broman sector. And then to Mukoji. Okay.
Frameshift drive charging. Frameshift drive charging.
Ponta's legacy. Okay. In orbit of Villist, which appears to be a habitable world. Yep. Habitable world, Earth-like environment, site of the Battle of Villist.
Access granted. Make your way to landing pad number 25.
Uh, 0.7 Earth mass is 0.94 G. It's almost an Earth analog.
You're on course for landing, Commander. Take her in gently.
Scan detected.
You are go for automated docking. Enjoy the ride, Commander.
Hollow projector. Achilles Robotics.
Touchdown.
For your convenience and safety, pacification emplacements are active and tracking at this station.
Docking confirmed. Power down your engines. Station facilities are at your disposal, Commander.
Incoming message.
Be aware of oncoming traffic in the access corridor. Observe minimum clearance distance.
Have you checked your bay number? Check again. Unauthorized landing may trigger.
So much for that little friend there. Okay, so let's go to
Crash is cost. Kill your speed, not your credit balance.
we can boost level 1 and go directly to Miyukoji. That's what we will do.
This station operates under a docking reservation policy. Ensure you have authorization before attempting to disembark. Destruction. Do not block access corridor.
Detach confirmed. Regulate speed until outside the exclusion zone.
Landing gear retracted.
fighter deployment. All systems are go, awaiting orders.
Target shields offline.
Take it easy, Commander. I'm not the target here.
Seems we've reenacted the Battle of Billist.
Cargo scoop deployed.
Okay, Commander. Fighter en route back to Mothership. Automated retrieval complete, Commander.
Cannot comply.
Oh, that was fun. Nothing like flying between two suns to get the blood pumping. And they're that close together.
Flight assist off. Flight assist on.
Automated docking initiated.
Scan detected.
Touchdown.
Landing gear deployed.
Docking successful. Commence power down. We're trying to contain an outbreak in this system, Commander. I'd advise you avoid the quarantine zones.
Services at this time are constantly being updated. Remember to visit every time you pass through the system.
shift charge detected. All successful.
Well, there you are.
Yep.
So, did you see about this time last year? I don't know if you were playing back then, but there was a big thing on about an imperial senator named Salome. Okay, well, there was a big kerfluffle on April 30th of 2017, which was about this time last year. And basically what had happened, according to what I remember and what I've read, there was a big conspiracy concerning the Formidine Rift that was uncovered by an explorer named Rebecca, who's an older lady, and Frontier released a number of audio voiceovers from megaships or generation ships that were sent out into that region in the 22nd century. And I'm wondering if this, basically on the position of the Formidine Rift, is where the Thargoids might be coming from, and in fact it could be a hint, I think, of that. And if that's true, they come from either the Andromeda Galaxy or a galaxy called Triangulum, which is about 3.5 million light years away.
No, I don't recollect it, but...
Well, Salome herself was just pointing out that there was a bunch of people that were sent out on these ships, and it was a decades-old conspiracy. I think the name of the ship was Fusako or something. They found it out in the Formidine Rift, and it was derelict. But 3 years after all life had ceased on board this ship, this is when Rebecca stumbled across it, and she gathered the evidence and brought it back to the bubble, which triggered Salome to start leveling accusations at corporate leaders. And it started a bubble-wide manhunt for Salome. She fled to the Pleiades sector, and but she was found, and her ship was destroyed by a large number of commanders.
Yes, I do. Now that you mention it, I didn't know the story in front of it or what was going on, but I remember hearing about a large number of commanders going after a ship.
Yeah, and
after someone.
So anyway, and then a year later, here we are fighting a Thargoid war, in which she was, when you listen to her Requiem, she recorded a goodbye message from a hospital station at the outskirts of the Pleiades somewhere. I think it's an IC 1101 or I don't know. Anyway, some star system way out there. And the gist of it was that she doesn't blame anyone who tried to kill her because she did piss a lot of people off. She also lied to people, manipulated people to do her bidding and bring this into the light. So now that this has all happened, I'm wondering why there were so many commanders. I guess there was just a large number of them didn't even know what the hell they were doing.
They just jumped on the bandwagon and didn't know what the backstory was.
Right. Because if they'd known the backstory, there's no bloody way in hell that, I mean, just for raising an objection, you don't generally start a manhunt on someone, but anyway. But I mean, there was in-game politics as well. A number of factions, you know, aligned themselves with the Empire and went after her. And there were a lot of players at that time, I know, who were leaning towards the evil Empire philosophy kind of thing. Although that's not the point of the Empire at all. But now here we are in a war, and I'm wondering what happened to all those other mega ships that were sent out there. I mean, if it's they drop probes and buoys and whatnot in that region, and apparently from the looks of it, I'd have to say it was an early warning system of some kind for some sort of extragalactic threat. Basically, the powers that be just want to be advised of, you know, anything that's coming. But it wouldn't work against the Thargoids if they're really growing base ships on worlds, on ammonia-friendly worlds here in this galaxy. Then who cares if a few barnacles slip by? I mean, the probe isn't gonna signal that as an invasion, right? So it worked. It plays into the Thargoids' hands quite beautifully because the alert system isn't going to alert anyone about anything. A bunch of biohazardous barnacles flying by, potentially, which aren't even carbon-based, they're ammonia-based, are not going to are not going to result in an alarm being sounded. They're just going to sit there until all of a sudden you have these base ships that suddenly start taking off of planet surfaces and laying waste to everything. But it does add a dimension of intrigue to the game, reading back on all the notes and all the exchanges that were going on at the time.
Yeah, now that you're talking about that, I remember there's a lot of commanders that went after that lady, and there's a lot of commanders that were defending her too. There's basically just a massive PvE event surrounding that, I remember. Yeah, but the forces of the anti-imperial forces lost. The Federation actually wanted Salome as dead, as so did the Alliance, and so did the Empire. All the three major superpowers was probably one of the few things they could agree on, was that Salome had to die just to shut her up, because she was a high-ranking public figure, and now there's this murder with Jameson. Jameson's another victim of this conspiracy. Like, it's all tied together. So I expect we'll be hearing more about the Formidine Rift conspiracy, because I don't think it's run its course just yet. I mean, we haven't heard about it in quite a while, but I don't know. I expect something to come. Something's going to come of it at some point. Just reading about it, though, that like all these three galactic powers are conspiring with one another to, like, you know, kill hundreds of thousands of people they put on these colony ships, telling them, oh yeah, you're going to set up a colony when you get there. And then one of the ships finishes its mission, turns around back towards the bubble, and suddenly the engineering crew started going on a homicidal rampage. They tried killing everyone, and ultimately succeeded on the Fusako, which ended up being, you know, having its life support cut after battery power failed. Well, there's also that. She was the president of the.
Yeah, Halsey.
Yeah, and she's supposedly still alive somewhere.
Yeah, she's still alive, but she's not the president anymore.
No, she's not. She basically, somebody tried assassinating her, and so I wonder if that wasn't, what, Hudson? Isn't he the president now? I wonder if he wasn't behind that one.
Which means that Winters, actually, Felicia Winters might be the preferred choice to lead the Federation. And then there's Aisling. I don't know, like, Aisling's an Imperial princess. If she at the time, I remember, was speaking out against Salome, but if she reversed course and backpedaled, that would be a huge coup in the game as well. In the backstory.
Aisling's got something up her sleeve. Don't know what, though.
No, I mean...
she's talking, she's having a problem with the Aegis group.
The Aegis Corporation. They're the puppet masters of the whole fucking Formidine Rift conspiracy, by the looks of it, or at least they're the embodiment of them. And then there's the Guardians. We didn't know anything about the Guardians at this time last year. They weren't even on the radar. So And what about other sentient species? I mean, there's got to be less technologically advanced species out there, as well as more.
Well, how much of the Milky Way, how much of the galaxy has actually been explored in this game yet?
Not even half the stars. There's still quite over half the galaxy. I mean, people have been from one end of the galaxy to the other, but they haven't actually explored all the star systems, right?
Yeah, that's just it.
So over half the star systems have as of yet been unvisited by human players. There's 400 billion of them. It's going to take a long time to visit all of them.
Well, they can keep adding whatever they want as they go along.
Yeah, oh yeah. But I mean, the chances of a multi-planet interstellar species, a truly interstellar species like humanity or like the Guardians or like the Thargoids, is greatly reduced now because a lot of the star systems where you would have expected to encounter ships from such species have been now traveled through. So any species that we now find, and there are a third species, there's the Akinari, who were wiped out when humanity visited their world at the beginnings of the Empire, right? That happened about 200 years ago, game time. So the Akinari got wiped out, and they were less technologically sophisticated. So there must be others that are out there that are not interstellar. Perhaps they're oceanic life, or
maybe there is some that are out there that know of us, and they've got better technology where they can cloak their ships and we can't find them.
Or their star systems. If they could cloak the entire star system, then we would be the only indication that there would be that we're missing something is a gravity silhouette, and that takes more sensitive equipment than you normally carry on a ship with you to detect.
Yeah.
So, but a gravity silhouette is a telltale sign of cloaked star systems. But there are also the locked out systems. There are parts of this galaxy where you're just not allowed to go. They've locked them out of your drive system.
Yeah, what are they hiding there?
What are they hiding in there? Exactly. Like, what's going on? So, I don't know. I'm tempted to visit one of these systems by jumping close enough to it to get a star system, or maybe the Thargoids will do someone a favor and they'll drop their ship. They'll intercept them while transiting through one of these locked areas, and if that happens, then all bets are off. If they get close enough to a locked out star system, just use their ordinary jump drive instead of their FSD, they can just jump to wherever they have to go in that locked out star system, and there's no way to stop someone from doing that. Except I think that there's an upper limit. They seem to have imposed some kind of upper limit on how far you can just jump. Like after 5 million light seconds or whatever, it becomes increasingly like meaningless to actually do anything because you've traveled like trillions of kilometers outside the star system's and there's no gravity, and there's, I mean, I've been stuck in interstellar space. The map tells you you're somewhere else. It tells you you're at your destination, but you're so far away from it. So I don't know if it's even possible to use ordinary jump drives to jump into a system that's been locked out.
You'd have the only way to find out is find a system that's
close enough,
like 1 or 2 light years away, and just see how long it takes to actually travel.
Well,
get yourself on a ship and just fill up fuel tanks and take off.
Yeah, I think what was the arbitrary limit I said was 0.33 light years.
Something like that.
Yeah, so you have to be 0.33 light years, and then you can use the ordinary jump drive. Anything farther away than 0.33, it forces you to use FSD. Anything closer, you have no choice. You have to use the jump drive. So it's exactly 1/3 of a light year. But that doesn't negate the possibility you could be as close as a light year or two away and still use your jump drive. I don't know of anyone who's attempted that. It would take at least a week or more of just steady increasing velocity to actually, you know, and then having the game just run while your ship moved between the stars. Would you, at the end of the week, though, arrive where you intended? I don't know. Anyway, I was trying to talk to Nate Dogs about this. He's not answering any of my hails. And I briefly became friends with someone named Commander Jebediah Apollo. He's at the station I'm at currently, but he's not, he won't, I said hello to him, and then he cut me off and minus my friendship status with him. So I don't know what the hell's going on there.
Who knows?
Oh, yay. Basic medicines. Okay, so we're at New Koji, so that means that we can turn in our commodities. Sell. 2.174. Yeah, it's 2.5 million exactly. Oh, you know how demand used to be 6 digits? Like if maximum demand was going to be 999,999? Well, now demand goes over 10 million. They've changed how demand works. So, I don't know about that. Deliver 3628 of superconductors to Kai Sirazi, 6 light years away from New Koji, 3.9 million credits. You know what? I'm going to try this. See if we can't get... Oh, fuck, those bastards logged off. Bastards. So what are you up to tonight, then?
Not a whole hell of a lot, just kind of wandering around. Right now I'm just trying to decide what I want to do.
I've only got...
around like Python and getting killed, so...
Well, if you would wing up with me, if you come into this area. I thought about going to Cubeo, but there's nothing earning any serious coin down there that can really draw me. I mean, with 2.5 million credits per turn where I am, it's very hard for me to leave. Otherwise, I'd be right next to you, and I'd be helping you defeat these people who come after your Python. I fought off 3 ships at once with my freighter. An Eagle, and 2 Vipers. No, an Eagle, a Viper, and a Sidewinder. All obliterated. commodities market, please. Go to get titanium. One thing I'll say for this, unless you can figure out a way for me to mine and make more than 2 million credits per run, then I would come mine an asteroid field with you.
I haven't even tried any mining since I came to Cubeo.
But do you ordinarily, were you getting more than 2 million per run, or?
I guess I wasn't even paying attention. I was just looking more for the materials than anything else.
Gotcha.
I'd have to actually make an effort to figure out what I was getting and wasn't getting.
We could also do a combat, go to a combat zone. I have to do a little bit more. I need 43 more kills in a combat zone to unlock another engineer. Once I do that, I'll have another engineer. So
the only ship I have that'll hold up to much of anything would be my Type 10.
Yeah, you have to have a couple fighter. You have to have 2 fighters on board for it to be effective. Because your first one's going to get shot out of the sky, and you're going to need help. But I don't know which of you or I is going to get the Anaconda first.
No, I could go get it right now if I really wanted to.
You and I have both been in that position for quite a while now. Like, yes, we could do it, but we just don't want to because our fleets are too robust and we want to keep our fleet. So it's a choice.
Well, my Type 10 really isn't... I don't know, it's too fucking big. That, and if I want to get a cutter just for hauling freight, and that shit, from what I've read, works pretty good for mining as well, so...
Well, I might turn in my Type 9 for a... Oh, hang on here. You know what? I can figure out right now what my ship is worth by... I've got my Diamondback Explorer is now worth 18.7 million. I've got another 36 million invested in an Asp Explorer. That gives me a total of 54 million units, 54 million credits. Plus, I've got this Type 9. If I sold those 3 ships and kept only my Python, I could technically afford a minimal outfit Anaconda. Technically. But I would rather keep everything I have.
This facility offers a wide range of services. Check the information for more details.
And the Anaconda doesn't have as much cargo hauling ability as the Type 9.
No.
And with these cargo missions that are lingering around here, it's very tough for me to give that up even, so... Launching. But that, you know what? Those two Majestic class battleships in near Cubeo, which is Aisling's home base, that now makes sense. If she's got something up her sleeve, she's going to pull on someone. She's going to need protecting, and 2 battleships certainly discourages people from sending any bullshit her way.
Landing gear retracted.
That's for damn sure. Hang on, Commander Flint Embershard is here. He's in a wing. Hang on a second, I'm going to try voicing, sending him a voice comms request. Here, stay there for a second. I'm going to call you right back, okay?
Okay. I think you're hailing me.
Hang on. Yeah.
Disconnected. Scan detected. Caller disconnected.
Yeah, they're not responding. It's Jebediah Apollo and Commander Flint Embershard. They're both in a wing together. And Jebediah Apollo's this guy who wouldn't respond to me anymore. So I don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know what their deal is, but I'm not going to sit here waiting around to find out. Oh yeah, this system has, that I'm in right now, has 3 suns at the center of the system, right? 2 of them are like right up against one another. Nothing gets your blood pumping like flying between 2 stars that are less than a few hundred kilometers apart. I flew right between them both. My temperature gauge was going nuts. But I guess that's what I get for flying between two suns together. Ever do that? Ever try like doing just like crazy ass stunts like that? Federal assault ship is interdicting me. Rank is master. Jumping the ship to the Tacking system in 4, 3, 2, 1. Jumping the ship. Sidewinder. I don't know what the hell he wants. Submitting.
Find a system like to buy some military grade bulkheads.
They're listed on EDDB.
That's what I'm looking at.
Under attack, stand by. Three more ships destroyed. I upgraded my limpets, they go farther now.
You did what?
I upgraded my limpet controller, so now they go farther.
fly over to the station to see if they have any. Landing gear.
Oops, I lost a fighter because I left it behind with the limpets.
Oops.
Yes, it wasn't very bright of me, but... I have to admit, that'd be pretty horrifying, seeing your mothership just take off on you like that, in the middle of deep space. Oops, that wasn't very good. Let's see here. What do we have? Titanium, I think. Yep. Okay, and we need basic meds. Mission board. What do we got on the mission board? The mission board, the mission board. What's on the mission board? La 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 la. La 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 la
Frameshift charge detected.
Assassinate the terrorist leader, Jason Person. Assassinate the terrorist leader, Emma Louise. Assassinate the pirate lord, Aku. Donate a small tonnage of wine, 12 units. How about, no, and stop asking for handouts and get off your ass and work for a living. Yes, I'm a liberal, but I'm a liberal with a work ethic. How the hell, I meant to ask you this, how the hell did the word liberal get to be such a dirty word in American politics? I never understood that. Everyone's so proud of their liberal democracy in the United States, at least the academics are. Of course, they're all liberals too, aren't they? But somehow, thanks... I know, but somehow, ever since Reagan was in power, the word liberal has been like a dirty word in American politics. There's nothing wrong with being a liberal any more than there's anything wrong with being a conservative. It's not like, oh, well, I'm a conservative, I'm somehow superior.
Well, a lot of it boils down to when the country first started, the founding fathers were all conservatives.
But they formed a liberal democracy. I mean, with checks and balances. That's liberalism. Classical liberalism at its heart.
Yeah, you know this and I know this, but a large portion of the country wants to remain conservative, wants to protect, protect everything that they have. The liberals
want to try out new things.
Well, not so much they want to try new things, they want to infringe upon the conservative mindset, and they want to take rights away for betterment of everyone. Well, that's not exactly how this country was made.
I see.
For the person, not for... It's not geared for the good of all, it's more for the good of one or the good of the small group.
Well, that's how it's turned out, because you have to alternate between liberal and, I mean, it's like in Canada. Remember me drawing this analogy? In Canada, we have a
find a happy medium. There's always going to be a problem here.
I was talking with a Brit about this just yesterday. In Canada and in England, we have a conservative democracy that tends to vote liberal administrations in. In the United States, it's the opposite. You have a liberal democracy that tends to vote conservative administrations in. But you need both in order to have a fruitful democracy, in my view.
Yeah. And that's the problem. You got too many that are far right, too many that are far left. There's no common ground, no middle ground.
Well, there has to be a happy medium realized at some point. It's just a question.
And that's why everything's so damn hectic right now, because
it's too divided.
Yeah.
Too balkanized.
Nobody wants to take the first step in looking at it from the other side's perspective.
Yeah, well...
The United States has always been severely polarized. It's always one way or the other. It's one of the problems of this country. It's one of the things that it makes it strong at the same time.
By Canadian standards, even the Democrats in the U.S., if you took our Conservative Party and your Democrats, our right-wing party is still just left of where your Democrats sit on the political spectrum as far as most Canadians are concerned.
Yeah.
Right? So most Canadians would probably end up voting Democrat if we were included in the United States. There's a huge disincentive right there to invade Canada and take it over for the Republicans, because they know that all the congressional districts, no matter how badly gerrymandered you could get them, they would all end up being voting Democrat. And they would never have it. It would just be a complete disaster.
The United States will never actually grow any bigger than it is.
No, I mean, you might get 51 or 52 stars in your flag, but you're not going to get much more than that, I don't think.
Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico is the only...
well, there was also...
The option to become a state.
Yep.
Puerto Rico won't do it because it actually hurts them in the long run.
Well, there is a movement, I keep reading about it, there's a movement in Puerto Rico that's pro-state. They want those senators.
There's a group of them that want to become a state, but the majority of them don't.
We'll see.
The United States, for the most part, doesn't really want them to become state, not so much because we don't want them, it's because it would hurt them in the long run.
Maybe.
They enjoy all the perks of being American, but they still have their own way of life.
It'll take a while, but the other territory that the United States might consider making a state is the United States Virgin Islands. They need a few more people, but to really make it a coherent.
It's not a question of whether they have enough people or not. It's a question of,
is there enough support?
Is there enough support? Does the majority actually want that?
Yeah.
And at this point in time, who wants to join the United States when we're basically bickering amongst ourselves all the time? Who wants to join that? And then you think about it, Puerto Rico isn't a very rich area.
Yeah.
They join the Union, they will be by far the poorest state in the Union. Like, worse than whatever state now is the poorest in the Union.
The poorest state, I think, guessing it's probably Florida. I'm not sure about that. Florida's got a thriving tourist industry, but they do have a lot of poverty there, too, from what I've been told. That's a good question. What is the poorest state in the Union?
I'm Googling it now. The poorest states in America are Mississippi, West Virginia.
Oh, Mississippi, of course. Yes, Mississippi.
Basically, some, I don't want to say backward states, but they're more of a...
Well, you better not, because they're actually, Mississippi's quite rural. But
that's what I'm saying. They're not really industrialized.
No,
they're not really agricultural driven either.
I don't see Mississippi becoming industrialized. New Orleans might be another one. New Orleans is actually used to be part of New France when Canada was called New France. Canada owned New Orleans for a time, and we had a lot of French Canadians there. And the British actually took a bunch of French Canadians from when they won the Battle of the Plains of Abraham. This was the one that decided Canada's fate as an English protectorate instead of a French one. After that battle in 1763 took place, there was an exportation of people from what is now called Nova Scotia. They depopulated Nova Scotia of its French people, the Acadians, and moved them all to Louisiana, or New France.
Okay, get this. As of 2015, the median household income is listed here by state. Puerto Rico is at $18,000.
Really? Well, it's a tourist economy anyway. And
out of the continental United States, Mississippi is number 50 at 40,000.
Yeah, you know what Puerto Rico's big problem is the American dollar. It would make more as a state if it would switch to a third currency like Bitcoin or something to drive up the economy of the state, because
South Dakota is actually number 28 for median household income, and it's also number 28 for per capita income.
That's right in the middle.
South Dakota's in the middle.
Yeah.
Middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Still at the very bottom.
It's not very wealthy, but it's
per capita. Puerto Rico's at 11,000. So Puerto Rico, basically, they have half of what the poorest state in the union has.
Yeah. But then again, it's a tourist economy. I mean, the economics are different because it's a tourist economy. It's not the same as Mississippi, right?
Well, Florida's a tourist economy. Hawaii's number 17.
Hawaii's hugely developed, and it's also hugely dependent on naval contracts, and it's got a position in the military as well. So there's a military component to Hawaii's economy that Puerto Rico doesn't have.
31.
What's that?
Florida's the number 31. Florida's 31 for per capita income at 26,000.
Yeah.
26.9.
Yeah.
About $400 more.
Yeah.
Hawaii is actually for median household income. They are number 2.
Number what?
And Florida, huh?
You said number what? Hawaii's number what?
Number 2, ranked for medium household.
Yeah. See, Hawaii is a tourist resort facility that caters to the rich and the wealthy. So, I mean, of course, its economy, but it's where, you see, Hawaii is where Puerto Rico arguably could end up if it went with full statehood and got some of the military contracts facing the Atlantic.
Florida's at number 38.
Look at Virginia. Where is Virginia in the list? I bet you Virginia's in the top 10.
Number 8.
Yep. And Virginia, guess what? Norfolk, Virginia, happens to be the what? The home port of the American Atlantic Fleet, of the Pan-European Fleet. It gets a lot of military money. So coincidentally, the two places that have the...
California's number 9. They get a lot of money too.
They get a lot of money too, no question. But the Pacific's a bigger region.
Here for the median income, number 1 is Maryland, 2 Hawaii, 3 Alaska, 4 New Jersey, 5 Connecticut, 6 Massachusetts, 7 New Hampshire, 8 Virginia, 9 California, 10 Washington.
Yeah. I mean, Puerto Rico would nowadays finish at the bottom, but it's, I argue again, with statehood come bigger contracts, bigger money, bigger influence. If you can't play the game in Washington, then how the hell are you supposed to be a state in the United States? If you have 0 senators, you have 0 influence. You need senators. Senators are way more powerful than you give them credit for. Yes, every state has 2 of them, but every once in a while you get one state senator who's like really, really influential, the way that, say, the mayor of Puerto Rico could have been. If she were a senator in the United States Senate, she would have been screaming bloody murder, and there would have been money over there months ago already. As it stands, 2/3 of the island still don't have electricity. Not that they need it. We're coming into the summer months now, but people will live, but it's not pleasant. You need senators to change that.
Hold on here. Okay, non-voting members of the U.S. House of Representatives.
Yep, they get congressmen, but they don't get senators.
Well, the congressmen don't even have a vote. Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, American Samoa, Guam, the Northern Mariana Islands, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Those are the 6, basically the 6 territories that the United States has.
And they have congressmen, but they don't have a vote that counts.
They do not get to vote on legislative, but they do participate. Their opinions are
recorded. Yes, I know. Yeah, I know they're considered, but
for the most part, since they're not states, they don't get a vote. But they are U.S. territories because they choose to stay. It's their choice to remain.
Yeah, I know. I'm fully aware. I accept that. I mean,
withdraw. They're done. They're gone.
Exactly. And what happens to Puerto Rico if it pulls out of the U.S.? Let's face it, it disappears. But with the U.S. and with the prospect of statehood comes senators, come elected congressmen, and they can actually have a say. They even get to run for president. Can you imagine a Puerto Rican as president? That becomes possible. Like it's a world of difference politically if they can have senators.
All these territory, or all of the U.S. territories, they are American citizens.
I know they're American citizens. That's right. Yeah, I know.
They could theoretically run for president.
Did you know there was a Caribbean island? I think it was St. Lucia or St. Vincent that wanted to join Canada several years ago. They made a bid to gain status as a Canadian territory, like the Yukon or the Northwest Territories or the Nunavut Territory in the north. But in Canada, it's a little different. Our territories still get elected members to the House of Commons, and they still hold a bit of power. They don't get senators. There's no senators from the Yukon. There are no senators from the Northwest Territories. But they do get elected MPs. And that makes all the difference. As a result, the Yukon, the Northwest Territories, and Nunavut are all incorporated into the fabric of Canadian politics to the extent that they should be. Which is but...
Hold on a second. Lloyd's talking to me.
What do I want here? I have basic tabs, okay. So we can exit. We need to launch. And we'll go down here to our little area, New Koji.
Landing gear retracted. Charging.
Oh, God. Hello? Kaisuratse. We'll do this one over here.
scoop retracted. Cargo scoop deployed. Cannot comply. Incoming message.
Hey there.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Disconnected.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm starting to wonder if anyone is. Did you just get a voice chat request from me? Like not inside the wing, but just an ordinary voice comm?
No, I actually turned voice off because it was, I don't know, it was just acting weird.
Well, I think they fixed it, so it shouldn't act weird anymore. Unless you found it differently recently. But it was acting weird for a while. You're right about that.
Yeah.
Were you aware of the whole Salome thing that was going on this time last year? Like, were you playing Elite last year?
Yeah, I've been playing Elite for about 2 years now.
So you were aware...
What slow thing?
Salome, the imperial senator who was being chased down by all those commanders.
Oh, right. Yeah, I do remember that.
So it turns out that, according to the research I did on it recently, it turns out that this has a connection to the Formidine Rift conspiracy, which is a story that basically says that the three major galactic powers, the Alliance, the Empire, and the Federation, all ganged up, and in the 22nd century, elements that now form these three powers sent out all these sublight generation ships out into the Formidine Rift, promising colonies, a bright, glorious future, all the rest of it, and then ended up basically causing the deaths of virtually all of the ships that were sent out. And their mission apparently was to drop probes and whatnot, and this is what Salome was rebelling against. That's why all the commanders were tasked with bringing her down. Except I don't think the majority of commanders realized the backstory behind Salome and what it was she was saying and why.
Right.
Anyway, they ended up killing her off, and so she's dead now. But
Right.
now we're at war with the Thargoids a year later. Coincidence? Anyway, I was just wondering if you remember any of this stuff.
Yeah, what I remembered was that there was a little bit of a controversy about it because one of the PvP groups that plays was the one that killed him.
Right.
It was like Harry Potter did it. And there was supposed to be a author that was writing the story about this.
Yes.
And he was hoping that she would live because he already wrote some of that story. But now he has to change the story because she's dead.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't hear that part of it. I just got the back, after the fact, I finally realized. I didn't participate in the hunt. I just didn't decide I didn't know enough about it. So, and at the time I was flying like some ridiculous ship like an Asp Explorer Cobra Mark III. I didn't think I had much of a shot at doing any real damage to Salome or anyone else. So I just decided to avoid the whole thing altogether and concentrate on my own little backstory. But here I am a year later, and now I'm flying the bigger ships. I have a fleet of 4 ships assembled. I'm on the brink of purchasing an Anaconda, and I'm getting a little bit more serious about this. And I'm still debating in my head what to do about the Thargoids. Like, should I go to war with them or what? And I don't know. I still don't really have an answer. The game doesn't give you many options other than not attacking the Thargoids, but that doesn't stop them from sending barnacles and planting them in ammonia-compatible planets, and then potentially, this hasn't been confirmed yet, but potentially launching base ships off the planet's surface as a result of these barnacle injections they've been doing. They've been growing potentially their own base ships here in the Milky Way. They're obviously some kind of extragalactic threat, but I don't know where they come from. The Formidine Rift, by the way, seems to point in the direction of Triangulum and Andromeda. So those two galaxies are 1.5 million and 3.5 million light years apiece outside of our own. Originally, I was thinking it might have been the Large Magellanic Cloud, based on Thargoid trajectory through the cloud, like from the Pleiades and through the through the bubble so far, but it's hard to tell. All the galaxies that we can see are all on our side of the galaxy. Obviously, we cannot see any galaxies on the far side because we haven't discovered anything out there yet. We can't see it. There's too much crap in the way. Too many other stars, too many clouds of dust. So you're not going to be seeing any galaxies orbiting the Milky Way on the opposite side of the galaxy from where Earth is.
Right.
But coincidentally, the Thargoids have come from one of these three places. I'm pretty darn sure now, and it all seems to be tethered together. Like even the Alliance, which originally had been rumored in the 22nd century, was sort of had managed to form a kind of understanding with the Thargoids. That seems to be off now, and even the Alliance is now mixed up with this Formidine conspiracy business.
Right. So what I heard, and this was a while ago, if you go into your galaxy map,
yep,
and if you look where Bernard's Loop is, there are two clusters, two galaxies that are fairly close to us.
That's the Large and the Small Magellanic Cloud.
Right, and they were saying that that's where they're from, and one of the theories about the game is that they're going to make it so we can jump in between these two as soon as we get more Thargoid technology.
Yeah, but you have to. But these two, even though these are satellite galaxies, you have to be able to jump to something. Like your gravity well is basically what this is all based off. The hyperspace technology operates off of. That's why you appear next to a star, right? The way that they throw on the brakes is they target a star, and then you jump from wherever you are in one system to the star of the other system. And the gravity well interrupts the FSD safely. So, sorry, computer was just messaging me. So, the problem here with jumping to another galaxy is that these other galaxies are 150,000 light years away. Like the nearer of the two, the LMC, is 150,000 light years away from the edge of the Milky Way. The visible, now I stress the edge, it's the visible edge. The visible edge is not really the end of the Milky Way. Just like our own solar system has a cloud of comets and crap around it, so our galaxy also has a cloud of dark stars, brown dwarfs, and other crap floating around out there. They estimate the current science on this, and this is by no means binding in the game, but the current real science on this is saying that it could be as large, our galaxy could be in fact as large as 600,000 light years across, which would add about another 2.5 to 300,000 light years worth of debris, which puts the LMC right in the middle of a field of debris and makes them not so much satellite galaxies as splinters off of the Milky Way, where there's still active formation of stars taking place. And which phenomenon better describes it, I don't know, but I'm going still with you're going to have to jump to an active star instead of just like a dark, empty, energyless void or neutron remnant. Technically, yes, that should stop a hyperdrive, but I don't know.
And the Thargoids have a way to stop you in through witch space, which, I mean, in our current technology, is not a...
Well, witch space is actually the jump, the in-system jumping that you're doing. That's witch space. So there was two sort of hyperdrive technologies developed, one of which was held in secret about 150 years ago game time, and was ultimately scrapped because the company that had the keys to it ended up suffering some kind of catastrophic loss of data, and they weren't able to recover. So the technology that was the basis used to be that in earlier versions of Elite you would leave a cloud, like a defined cloud behind you when you jumped into hyperspace. It was called a hyperspatial cloud. That went away with Elite Dangerous, which is where we are now. And so they claim that the jump drive has also been matured and has changed now instead from a cloud into a wake field, they're calling it. And you have to lock onto the wake field. Basically, as far as the game is concerned, it's exactly the same. You used to be able to jump into the exit cloud or the entry cloud from another person's jump drive, and you would jump right behind them, literally, and end up right where they were in the remote star system that they jumped to.
Right.
Now you have to have the jump drive has to be able to jump as far as their system, but it tracks where they ended up in that system, within a margin of error where they came out, and then you can chase them using the wake analyzer. But that's the difference between the two. They had to redevelop Star Drive, basically, is according to the story. And of course, what really happened in real life is you have a completely different software architecture, and they've matured it so that there's not like a big sketchy cloud left in behind the ships when they jump. Instead, they're using a much simpler and more easily rendered angle square brackets displacement marker showing where you've entered jump space and where you exit. So but in terms of gameplay, it's exactly the same because you still end up following the target to their star system. Now, as for the Thargoids, they were always able to pluck you out of either version of hyperspace, and they obviously have a far superior understanding of how hyperspace works than humanities scientists. So they're able to do things like yank to sit in interstellar space waiting for ships to pass by, and as they do so, pull them out and then engage them. To date, I've just let them scan me. I haven't really. I've either let them scan me, or the only other thing I've used is the shutdown neutralizer to prevent them from shutting my systems down. I've used that successfully a number of times, but they don't seem pissed off or anything by that device. They just let you go, and they don't attack you. You're not a big enough threat. That will change, however, if they start launching base ships. I'm going to take humanity's side, which I guess makes sense, my being human and all. And I'm going to be I find myself fighting the Thargoids, because then they're going to be an extermination threat. If they get capital ships that beat out the size of the Farragut class or the Majestic class battle cruisers the Empire has, we're all in deep shit. And they pose a serious threat of destroying every human outpost that exists in the bubble, including, by the way, what's that noise? What's that? I can't hear you.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of background noise right now.
Oh.
I'm back now.
Oh, okay.
Could be my microphone when I unmuted it that caused your background noise.
Yeah, I was wondering where it was coming from exactly, but I can't hear him anymore now with you being on. Hang on a second. I'm just going to try something here. There, can you hear me now real slow?
I can hear you, but there's still a lot of background noise.
You can actually mute a squaddle, and muting him will unfortunately shut off his mic, but it's unavoidable because I can't hear you at the same time that I'm hearing him. He's overriding both you and I, obviously.
Right. No, I can hear you over him.
Oh, okay. Wait.
I just have my gain down really low.
Oh, he muted his mic. Hang on. Let's see if I can. There he goes. He's muted his mic, so now he should be able to hear me. I've unmuted him. I'm okay now. So anyway, so this is what's going on. It's interesting. You haven't heard anything else about this, eh? Anything else that might be juicy or important? I'm sort of intrigued by the backstory. I know the writers have been putting something together, and then there's Aisling, who's becoming increasingly out of sorts with the Imperial royal family. Aisling Duval.
Right.
Whose faction, by the way, I just joined as of this week. Which put me out of sorts with Panav-Antal, my other faction. I defected to Aisling because Aisling has the prismatic shield, and I'm about to buy an Anaconda, so I want the ability within the next 30 days to buy the prismatic shield for the Anaconda. And the only way I'm going to do that is if I am a member of her faction. I already have a whole bunch of enforcer cannons lockered up, so I can have enforcer cannons, which are Antal's weapon of special weapon. They're a really powerful class 1 fixed cannon. But if you get hit by these things, I mean, I've blown up a number of small ships with them very, very quickly.
Yeah, I grabbed a bunch when I was aligned with Intel too.
Yeah.
So,
you may as well. I mean, the only other party that I'm really interested in is Young Rui, who's in last place right now for some strange reason, but he has the get lost, cat. He has the Hunter missiles.
He has the pack-down missiles.
Yeah, that's right, and they evade countermeasures. So I'm interested in those missiles because they're launched all at once, all as a big clump, and they beat the crap out of anyone I've ever seen who has both the prismatic shield and Young Rui's special weapon. They're done. There's not much they can do. You just keep firing those missiles and holding off the attacks with a shield. Mind you, I've got a freighter, a Type 9 freighter now, with almost 600 shield points.
Wow.
I didn't know freighters could do this, but yeah, if you buy the right upgrades and engineer the hell out of them, you can now tailor them. And as for the Guardians and other species, we still have less than half the star systems in the Milky Way explored. So we don't actually know if there's any other species. We know of one other species that has gone extinct, the Akinari. The Akinari were the species that were displaced by humanity at the formation of the Empire on Akinar. And they got wiped out. So if there's any other maybe water-based or technologically simple species out there, might be interesting to run into them. see what kind of relationship or what the writers do with that, but we haven't seen more than just the other two. I refuse to believe this galaxy only has two or three sentient species at once in it. It just doesn't add up to me. There's 400 billion star systems. We've discovered planets around almost every single star we've surveyed. Almost. Which isn't to say that every star system has planets, but a good the vast majority of them do.
Right.
And I'm a little skeptical that we're only going to find out that humanity and maybe 2 or 3 other species in the whole of the galaxy are all that there is.
I don't think so.
Don't think so?
No, I think so. I honestly think that they have a plan.
This, of course, is all provided we don't actually make contact in the real world with an alien power while we're playing the game.
Now that would be odd.
That would screw stuff up a little bit for the writers, but I'm sure they'd cope somehow.
Yeah. But anyway, I think they have a plan. My opinion is that what's going to happen is that we're probably going to get into a war with the Thargoids. And
We are in a war with the Thargoids right now.
Well, the we haven't declared war. What's happening is that the Thargoids are tromping through the system. They're attacking. So what I read before was they were attacking very specific stations, and the stations had
had some type of laboratories on them. I forgot which one it was.
Aegis.
And, yes. And the thing is that in previous, those guys were against the Thargoids. Now the Thargoids are coming back and trying to destroy them. But what's going to happen is that we're going to get into an actual war where the bubble's going to be threatened. That's kind of why the was it Coriolis Point?
Well, 32C Piscium was attacked last time. There's no Aegis stations there. That's in Antal's territory, right? It's actually not that far away from Plevnik, which is the Antal's homeworld. And there was
Antal's all about the technology, though.
He is about the
we just didn't know about it.
Maybe it's possible. I don't know, but
Right.
there was no public disclosure of an Aegis facility in that system, and to my mind, the Thargoids have to be thinking that's all like completely loony. There are some numbers of humans like me who won't attack them unless provoked, unless I get shot at first. I do have a complement of anti-Thargoid weapons just in case. I'm not a complete fool, but I am going to I am going to let them have it if they start attacking human beings indiscriminately, or posing a serious threat to anything more than the established political order. If they want to blow apart the political order, well, we'll recover. We've done it before. I mean, how many times in human history has the political establishment been blasted out, completely destroyed, and there's been lots of people survived. So I'm not too concerned with that. The powers that be probably would be. I imagine that the Empire would be. Aisling has something up her sleeve, I'm pretty sure. And I agree with Esquadle on this point that Aisling does definitely have something up her sleeve. Right. And she's just waiting. I'm not sure if she's building off the Salome declarations about conspiracy. At first it all struck me as a little bizarre, like, oh yes, of course, a corporate conspiracy theory. Like, how many of those have we had in our lives in the past? But the trouble with conspiracies is that some number of them are true. You just don't know which ones. It's pretty shocking.
They're just based off of truth.
They're based off of truths, but I mean, I actually do know. I live in a capital city, and I actually do know of a couple of conspiracies. I've worked for the Canadian government, and I'm aware of conspiracies that have gone off. It's amazing when they go off without a hitch, believe me. It's amazing that people can actually keep their mouths shut as long as they do, but everyone has an incentive to do so. So I believe in the whole idea of conspiracy. Yes, that can and does happen. But what doesn't happen is you don't find people doing things just out of the, making massive political changes out of the goodness of their heart. We're not all going to band together in some sort of glorious opposition to the Thargoids unless they start indiscriminately attacking human outposts, settlements, and planet bases. They haven't shown any interest in planet bases whatsoever so far. They have attacked none of the worlds. I mean, I'm not even sure Earth itself is in danger, because if the Thargoids orbit Earth, who cares? I mean, they just orbit Earth. They're not going to do anything. They'll just sit there, scan it, look at it, study it, and then leave. Okay, do that then. I don't mind the homeworld of humanity being studied. We're very interesting people, as it turns out. But especially once we get the capacity to jump from one star to another. But I am a little bit more concerned if they blow up New York, or if they level Washington, or blast Tokyo and the island it's on back to the Stone Age. That's a bit more of a problem. And the only threat there I can see happening is there's always at least one Farragut cruiser in orbit of Earth and one in orbit of Mars, which is the administrative center for the Federation. Both are human breathable worlds, and both have billions of people on them. So it's a bit of a concern. Other than that, yeah, I'm content to leave the Thargoids alone and let them do whatever they want. If they're out for taking up revenge against Aegis Corporation for developing a genocidal toxin that's hostile to Thargoid life, by all means, go ahead. And I don't even care if they're from another galaxy. But The Guardians had the same problem, and what's not clear to me, and what I think is important, is finding out whether or not Guardians were destroyed by their own AI, which appears to be theory number 1. Theory number 2 is the Thargoids actually somehow were able to get past the AI that the Guardians developed. They destroyed their AI machines and then destroyed the Guardians. Or caused the Guardians to disappear. Maybe they're still out there somewhere hiding. Perhaps they've developed a cloaking technology that allows them to cloak not only planets, but stars and everything else in the star system, for that matter. You just don't know.
Right.
Anyway. I felt I had to discuss this with someone else who was around a couple of years ago. I tried talking to a couple of people, but there don't seem to be that many people I know who were here 2 years ago.
Right. So I've been playing for about, well, so I started playing on the Xbox.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And,
how'd that go for you?
It went really well. I fell in love with the game there, and the only thing I didn't like was using the controller. And I wanted to get a HOTAS set up. So
yeah.
I actually went out and bought a PC. And I've been playing on the PC for, oh geez, maybe since like November.
So you got a gaming PC specifically for this game?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, my kids use it too for their games now, but
yeah.
Cargo scoop.
I bought and set up a PC just to play this game.
Well, he says, what are you using for the HOTAS controls from the Squaddle?
Yeah. It's just the thrust thruster, joystick, and throttle. I'm not really pleased with the joystick. The rudder kind of freaks out every now and then, and I'm not sure what happened, but I ended up, I don't know if I broke a spring or the mount or something, but yeah, that one.
You're not using VR as well, are you?
I am not. I don't know if my graphics card can support it. When I built my system, graphics cards were not quite as hard as as they are now to find, but they are so expensive.
Well, the one I got was $200. It's the NVIDIA GeForce NVIDIA 970 series card, and it has a port for the Oculus, which is just a dual USB connector, really.
Right.
Sorry, HDMI USB connector. But one thing I'd say about the VR now, having had the 2-year experience, my cable that tethers me to my PC is getting a little bit frayed at the connection point. So if you do decide to go to VR, you might want to just wait a little longer and see what happens, and pay attention to the news articles about the wireless VR headsets. They're expected any day now. Because if I could have a wireless headset, that would make the VR experience a whole lot more enjoyable. It would turn my computer into the holodeck to a large degree.
Yeah, so I've got the 1060 6 gig card. I don't know which brand it is. I think
it's certainly got the processing power to handle VR.
Right. Yeah, so I adjusted, Escort, I adjusted the dead zone, and every now and then I would have to disconnect the joystick and then reconnect it, and then it would work fine. And then it would work for like a couple weeks, and then one day it would just freak out, and I would do the same thing. What I even tried doing was using the software that it came with, and there was a way that you can adjust how much, what is it? You can adjust the pressure. So when you push it a little bit, it moves a little bit, but when you push it a lot, it actually increases logarithmically in the amount of thrust that you can apply.
Oh my God.
It's really good. There was a video I saw of it, but I couldn't get it to work. I think it was something that the way I was doing it, but it looked like it would have, if I could have gotten it to work, it would have looked like it would have been really cool.
Unplug the controls, you can unplug your controls back in, it will automatically recalibrate your controls, he says.
Right. Yeah, that's,
but we all love rebooting our computer just to get our controller to work again. With my VR headset, it just goes blank every so often because the connector just goes out of sync with where the plug is. It's sort of like fraying at the edges or something. I guess I can buy an extra cable at will. They only cost about $80. But I'm not too fond of the idea of buying another Oculus Rift just to deal with this one design flaw. But I guess I can forgive them a little bit. They just this last year got bought out by Facebook. Yeah, Facebook bought Oculus, so now now I'm just waiting any day now for the ads to appear inside my visual heads up display.
That's cool.
Oh, I hope not. I don't want to see ads in this thing.
No, it'd be fun.
I mean, I could see it in the game if everyone had ads, right? Like Frontier is running a contest right now, by the way, where you can design an advertisement for your own faction or whatever, and they'll actually put them on the billboards up throughout the galaxy if you win. So they're picking like the top 10 ads or whatever, and they're going to put them on the holographic projectors. And I thought, gee, maybe I should form a group just to do that.
That would be really cool to have like a lot of decals on your ship, kind of like a NASCAR.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know when the contest ends, or I don't know enough details. I certainly don't know enough graphic artists to design the thing myself. Would be it would be probably a little bit Mickey Mouse compared to some of the videos and some of the production quality I've seen coming out of Elite Players. I don't think I can hold a candle to them. Okay, so I'm just at Exionov Hub. I'm going to log off pretty soon here. I'm just delivering the last shipment of medicine to this planet where there is a huge outbreak on and a demand of 10,338,497. Another thing of note here is that the demand column in your trading area seems to have gone up. It used to be 6 digits, 999,999 was the highest demand you could have. Well, now you got digits 7 and 8 here. So that's interesting. But I'm running medicine back and forth for 2.5 million per run, using my Type 9 freighter.
Yeah, I was doing that too, not too long ago. What system are you doing this in?
Well, right now I'm running them between the Exionov Hub in the Mukogi system, M-U-K-O-G-I, and Tacking, T-A-K-A-K, and there's a facility in there I can't remember the name of, but anyway, you run titanium out of you run titanium from Exionov in Mukogi. You run titanium from there back to Tacking. You pick up basic meds in Tacking and run them back to Mukogi. And you go back and forth and you keep doing this and you make like I've made 7 million credits tonight at least. I even purchased a hull upgrade, so now my hull has 1,200 points and I've got 600 shield points on a Type 9, which is almost as powerful as my Python, technically. Plus I have a fighter bay.
Oh, cool.
So I've
never used a fighter bay. How is that?
Well, in fact, next time I see you on, what I'll do is I'll invite you to fly one of my fighters, because I can have my AI crewmen and you run fighters at the same time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
If I invite you into my crew. So you have to leave your ship behind. You park your ship, tell me when you're ready, and then I pull you into my ship. And then from there, you can fly one of my fighters. And because I have 2 fighter bays, I'm allowed 1 human and 1 AI. Or I can have 2 humans if I want, but I'm only allowed 1 AI, like I can.
Right.
But anyway, so I'll do that next time I catch you on. I catch you on fairly frequently. It's the first time I've said hello to you in God knows how long.
Yeah, I've been actually kind of busy. I've been, so I aligned with Patriots so I could get his weapons.
Now, what does Denton Patriots have? He's a senator.
Yeah, he has the advanced plasma weapon.
Okay. That's fixed turret stuff, right?
Right. I think all of them are fixed turrets.
They are, but missiles auto lock. So when you fire the Hound missiles from Young Rui, you get he'll hit you all at once all the time. You know, it's fire and forget. And the prismatic shield is also kind of fire and forget. It's a shield. I mean, you don't shoot anything at anyone. And the only weapon that I have to worry about are the enforcer cannons. And otherwise I go with turrets because the way that I fight in gameplay, I try to buy upgrades that will lock on targets and take advantage of the turreted weapons and their ability to automatically lock on.
Right.
And right now I've got, in the freighter here, I've got a weapons lock at 5 kilometers based on engineering upgrades. One of my, I think it's the pulse weapon? No, it's the beam weapon. Sorry, the beam weapons fire at 5 kilometers, so they'll start ripping down your shields long before you can even shoot at me.
Right.
Oh, and you're being interdicted.
I am.
And you've escaped.
That's okay. Nope.
No?
I
submitted?
I did.
Yes.
I'm going to fight him.
Okay, I'll let you fight him. I'm going to get going here, but I'll invite you next time and I can show you what fighter play is like.
Okay.
Okay.
That's really cool.
Yeah, will do. Take care.
All right, talk to you later.
Righto, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, everyone, that'll be it for tonight for this pilot. I'm just going to sell my commodities that so tentatively purchased, at least I think I did. No, I don't actually have any medicines here, so of course I'm not going to be able to. Ugh, I hate being distracted like that. Anyway. To hell with it, I'm gone for the night. This has been enough. We'll concentrate on this again tomorrow if there's still profit to be had here, otherwise we'll find another system to make money in. This has been CMDR Trium at Axionov Hub in the Mukoji system at 35634 Zulu, 26 April 3304. Fly safe, Commanders, and good night. Don't forget to visit us at twitter.com/Commander_Trium. CMDRs, CM as in Mike, DR_TRIUM as in Mike. Fly safe, Commanders. Once again, bye for now.